guys, so for today we're going to be doing a half high-end, half drugstore makeup tutorial. On this side we're doing drugstore and on this side we're doing high-end. I'm going to be sharing with you guys a bunch of cheap dupes. So to start off, of course, we're using primer. So I'm using one of my favorite primers, the Benefit Professional, and a really awesome dupe I find for it is the Baby Skin Pore Eraser by Maybelline. They both have a nice thick silicone texture. This foundation dupe is amazing. I'm telling you guys, you need to try it. These foundations are like identical. As soon as I first tried each of them, they immediately clicked in my head that they were dupes just because they're so similar. I am using the shade 128 in the Makeup Forever, which is a tad bit darker than 50 in the Maybelline. So that's the only thing, but I used one pump of each foundation on each side to show you guys that they have equal amount of coverage, and the finish is the same. They're both like a nice natural finish, and they both give you pretty good medium coverage, I would say, definitely buildable, and they make you both look super pretty and soft and natural looking, but still offers a great amount of coverage. I am in love with these foundations individually and both as dupes to each other. So now on to doing some highlighting underneath the eyes. I'm going to be using this yellow concealer from the Urban Decay Naked Color Correcting Fluids in the shade Yellow. Now the dupe that I found for it is the NYX HD Concealer in the shade Yellow. These both have very similar formulas. The only thing I would say is that the NYX one is a little bit more sheer and a tad bit more of a darker yellow. But other than that, I feel like they're great alternatives for each other, especially for the price difference. Then we're going to take the Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer in the shade Light Warm and then the NYX HD Concealer in the shade 04, and we're just going to highlight and brighten and conceal the under eye. Now the shade 04 is a little bit darker than the Light Warm shade, so I would go for 03 if you're looking for a shade dupe. But these formulas are so similar. They're both very great coverage. The only difference I find are the applicators. The Urban Decay applicator makes it a lot easier to get a lot more product at first, whereas the NYX one you kind of have to keep dipping into the tube, which is a little bit annoying. But the formulas are so similar, both full coverage, but both still hydrating. And I really do find that these formulas are great alternatives to each other. Like I said, the only thing is I do prefer the applicator better on the Urban Decay one than the NYX one, but for the price, I mean, you really can't go wrong. Moving on to setting the face, you guys know I love my Laura Mercier Loose Translucent Setting Powder. It is holy grail for me, but I cannot deny the fact that this NYC one is like $2 to $3, maybe $4 Canadian, and it is such a good dupe. I feel like these are almost identical, so I almost feel silly even purchasing the Laura Mercier one. I would definitely recommend you guys just scrapping the Laura Mercier one and picking up the $4, $3, whatever NYC one. Such an amazing dupe. I'm telling you guys, you need it. They both set your face really matte, make your face last all day, and your face will be super smooth. I'm obsessed with these, and both of these do not give flashback or don't kind of lighten up your foundation. Because I know some loose translucent powder do give me like a white cast, and these are completely translucent. So I already have my contour on because I actually filmed a NARS Eat a Brush dupe video. I found a dupe for the NARS Eat a Brush for only $2, so I will go ahead and link that video down below. So I did that off camera, but here I am just bronzing up the skin. I found a dupe for my favorite bronzer ever, the Becca Shadow Light Contour Bronze Perfector. This is the L'Oreal Glam Bronzer. I'm telling you, these are amazing bronzers. I'm obsessed with them individually, so a light bulb went off in my head like, what if they're dupes? And what do you know, when I swatched them, they were dupes. So I love those bronzers. So for blush, we're using Urban Decay Fetish on the high-end side, and then as its dupe, we're switching over to the Milani Romantic Rose. These blushes are pretty much identical, and the formulas are so similar, and I actually like the packaging in the Milani one better. Moving on, I'm so excited to show you guys this. I actually found a dupe for Becca and Jaclyn Hill's Prosecco Pop. If you just go ahead and use the NYX Strobe of Genius palette and you mix in the first two shades that I went ahead and kind of highlighted in the little clip there, if you mix those two shades together, they literally will make Prosecco Pop. So this is an awesome dupe for those of you who haven't been able to get your hands on the palette or don't want to spend the pretty penny on it. Then you can go ahead and just pick up the NYX Strobe of Genius palette. Also, the formula of the NYX Strobe of Genius palette is amazing. Literally obsessed with it. At the end of me applying it, I showed you guys how identical these are on the cheeks. I'm still just shocked that I found a dupe for Prosecco Pop because surprisingly enough, Prosecco Pop is a gold highlight, but it's pretty unique. Like, I compared it to my other gold highlights and it didn't look like any of them. So this was the only dupe I was able to find for it, and luckily enough, it was Drugstore, and it's an amazing palette. So as you can see, they look identical on the face. Moving on, I realized I forgot to brighten up the under eye with a yellow powder. So I'm taking the Wet n Wild kind of contour duo and using the yellow shade as a dupe for the Tarte kind of contour palette. And I'm just taking the yellow shade and kind of brightening up the under eye. Now for the brows, this is a dupe I'm really excited to share because these two are such great brow pencils. Now, let me explain here. I don't necessarily feel like these are dupes. I would just say that this drugstore version is a way better version than the high-end. I hate to say it because I feel like everyone loves the Anastasia Brow Wiz, but for some reason, I've never been a huge fan of it. It just doesn't work for me. Like, here doing my brows with it, I just don't like the way it looks. I don't find it blends nicely. I'm not comfortable with using it, to be honest. But when I use the Maybelline Brow Define Pencil Duo, I'm obsessed with that one. It's such an amazing drugstore brow pencil. I use this all the time and I use it in a bunch of tutorials. It's genuinely one of my favorite drugstore brow products, and I love the way my brows turn out every time I use this. Way more than the Brow Wiz, just in my personal opinion. So of course you gotta set the brows. I'm taking the Anastasia Clear Brow Gel, and then as its dupe, I'm taking the L'Oreal Clear Brow Gel. I love these two. The only thing is the Anastasia one definitely holds a lot more than the L'Oreal one, but I still do feel like they're amazing alternatives. So moving on to the eyes, I'm obsessed with this eyeshadow primer dupe. You guys know I love my MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot, but I recently discovered this Wet n Wild Photo Focus Eye Primer. It's amazing. It holds your eyeshadows on all day, and this stuff really stays on. Like, I believe it's waterproof because when I tried to wash my hands after applying this, it would not come off my finger. You need a really good makeup remover to take this off, and like I said, if you have oily eyelids, this stuff keeps your eyeshadow on and dry all day. It's amazing. Moving on to the eyes, I actually found a dupe for the Becca Jaclyn Hill palette, just the kind of mauve shade in the middle there. If you take the two Makeup Geek shadows, I will leave the name down below, they literally look identical. Mix them together, you can't even tell a difference. I also shared a little bit of an eyeshadow brush dupe in there for you guys, the Sigma E40, which is super popular. You can just go ahead and buy the Morphe M504 and they're identical. So moving on, the first two shades of the Becca Jaclyn Hill palette, the really pretty Champagne Glow and then also the kind of light golden white shade, I found a dupe for, and it's the e.l.f. Prism eyeshadow. I'm just going to take Champagne Glow, apply that all over the lid, and then you're going to want to take the second and third shade from the Prism palette, mix it together, and just pop it all over the eyelid. The only difference I found was the e.l.f. one was a little bit less intense, but that's nothing you can fix with a little bit of water or setting spray. And then you want to take the really pretty white golden shade from the palette and pop that right in the inner corner, and then as a dupe, you're taking the first shades from the e.l.f. palette and popping that in the corner just to give you a bright eye. And then I am just defining the eye with a little bit of the mauve shade from the Becca palette and then the mauves from the Makeup Geek. And then for the lips, I am taking Too Faced Melted Matte in the shade Cool Girl. This is a perfect mauve nude shade. For the dupe, I'm going to pop on Milani's Adorable. I love these liquid lipsticks. Milani's Adorable is a little bit on the dry side, but that's nothing that a little bit of chapstick couldn't fix. So hopefully you guys loved this tutorial. I loved doing it. I love sharing dupes with you guys. Like, thumbs up for more, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys. Mwah.